So I just did a video maybe a couple weeks ago about my current dating situation and trying Bumble and trying to figure out how to meet people and all that stuff. And so a couple weeks ago on Facebook, I saw an ad for speed dating at the Standard here in Miami. It's actually just a few blocks away from my apartment. It was actually like you had to fill out a questionnaire, and then their astrologist, I think, chose people to participate, or whatever, they chose people to participate. It was very inclusive. They had straight, bisexual, and gay and lesbian speed dating, which I thought was definitely really cool. So yeah, and then I got an email like a couple of days before. I think it was last Wednesday. And so I got an email a couple of days before. I'm glad it was actually right up close to the date, because that way I didn't have to, I had already forgotten that I had signed up and I thought they just didn't choose me. So then when they actually sent the email, to actually participate, I was like, oh, okay, but I didn't have enough time to like ruminate and like get really all in my head about it. And then, yeah, so there was like I guess it's like a mixer before at the bar, right next to the room where they were going to have the speed dating. And then I had to work a little bit late, so I got there a little bit late, but I'm glad I did, because basically it was like an hour or so of just like mingling at the bar with name tags. Like literally my worst fear like realized. Like I walk in and I'm like, oh cool, I'm literally by myself in like a sea of like speed daters. And it's like the Standard is like, like hip, so it's like, young, like good looking, generally working people. So, it was definitely a good crowd. I don't really get out that much, but I was like, it wasn't an issue of like that, just the fact that, social anxiety and like being in crowds and not having like a wingman or wingwoman, which they did recommend bringing, but yeah, I didn't, so I went by myself. And then luckily I got there just late enough to where it was right before the actual thing started, thank God. So I had a complimentary drink because of the speed dating. Then it was like hosted by this girl who was like super enthusiastic about like her playlist and stuff. I didn't really remember her name. And then it was the marketing director of the Standard who I think put the event together. And then it was basically, so you sit down in tables, obviously depending on whether you're gay, straight, bi, whatever. And then they give you where your Venus, what position Venus was in when you were born dictates your Venus is in, so my Venus was in Leo, for example. I'm trying to remember what it meant. It was like who you are in a relationship, and so what you need. So basically they're the astrologist of the Standard, I don't remember her name, but she seemed like really cool. She kind of gave the astrology breakdown of why they had, so they had sheets that you find out where your Venus is and where your Mars is when you were born. And Mars is like who you are, I think, whatever, either way. So she went through the Venus stuff, and it was kind of annoying because not everybody was like raising their hands, so you couldn't really get a feel for everybody what they were, but you find out what you are and I guess what your compatibility is. Yeah, no, and then it was like just like a standard speed dating type thing, like just 5 minutes with one person. It's funny because with some people, I feel like I barely got to talk to them, and then other people, I feel like we totally had time to kind of like get a feel for one another. But yeah, so I thought it went really well. I think it was like I told one of the speed daters that I met, I was like, it's a lot easier for me to do something like speed dating, only because it's like your focus is on one person at a time, and you're kind of like, you don't have to choose, you don't have to go up to somebody and kind of like do the whole initiating or non-initiating. So I think it stacks the odds in your favor if you're good at the one-on-one, but not so much the groups. So that's kind of what I liked about it. Again, everybody I thought was really cool. I definitely hope that I got some matches. I thought it was really cool that they tied in the astrology thing, even though I don't follow astrology really that closely. I kind of was like, when they were saying like my actual, Venus and whatever, I was like, okay, that actually is kind of me, and that kind of does make sense. But my whole thing with astrology is like, yeah, but that means that like every single person that was born at the hospital, that entire day, has kind of like my same traits. Like I feel like that's where astrology for me gets kind of confusing. You know what I mean? It's like, again, think about it. All the babies that were born in Miami on, you know, the day you were born all have like Venus and Leo. Does that mean that they're all not even, and it's like for a month. I think Venus stays in Leo for like a month or whatever it is. Venus stays in whatever it's in for a month. So it's like, so every kid and person born in that time has the exact same like disposition when it comes to dating and all that. That's kind of where the astrology, I feel like I thought it was a really cool thing to include it in the speed dating, but when it comes to like applying it to life, that's where I'm kind of more skeptical about it. But I do find it actually really interesting, and again, I actually would have liked, you know, I feel like everybody there was antsy to get to the speed dating, so they didn't really let the astrologer, right? They didn't really let her, you know, like they were kind of speeding her up since people were getting antsy, but that probably still was the thing that I thought was very interesting about this speed dating, as opposed to, I've been to speed dating once before, like 10 years ago, and so that I thought was a really cool aspect of it. And yeah, they basically sent out an email after saying, Phil, you know, like they gave you a link and then you see everybody's photo and then you basically choose who you would like to exchange contact info with. So I basically, I mean, I pretty much got a good vibe from most of the people. So I mean, I'm hoping that I get some matches. And then just to continue, but yeah, so that was really cool at the Standard. I thought it was a really good event to have attended, and I'm glad I went. I'm glad it was inclusive, and I'm looking forward to updating, you know, depending on who I match with. I think I find out tomorrow if I match with anybody or whatever, so